don't know if he's
sorry, I didn't know. Oh my God, recording cake. Oh, what am I doing, Jesus?
All right. Good evening again, everyone.
Hi. Sorry, Mark. Is it okay if you share your screen?
Me? Yeah, I'm
Did I
going
say
to.
share your
I'm
screen?
going to.
I mean your video. Maybe you can see your face. Can we see your face as you're having your screen?
No, okay. You probably not believe this. I'm on the road, so I'm just parked to do this session.
Oh,
Yeah. So, but I can
if you can,
do
please just put your
this.
video on. Please.
I can do this. Yeah. Okay, can you guys see me? All right. So basically, this is me. All right. Okay. I think this works. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Please continue.
All right. Okay. Good evening, everyone. All right. My name is Mark Yusuf, and don't worry about every other thing they read, right? I don't know. But yes, tonight we want to quickly have some 30 to 40 minutes. Yeah. Sorry, your hands is raised. I never have your hands are raised. Can I continue, please?
Please just continue. I think that was done in error.
Oh, okay. Richie, your video is on. All right. I think you're having some struggle with your device. All right. So, Richie, you can put off your video. Okay, there's just some button at the down. Okay. Can I go on, please?
Yes,
wait while Richie tries to figure out
just
his.
go on. Just go
all
on.
right, great. So, today we're going to try and share a couple of things, right? And look at how we can revalidate some of the knowledge we already have, and probably add one or two things to it. Right. Give me 1 minute, please. Where's the okay, great. Okay. The topic is the basics of technical product management and the value of specialized training for experienced product managers. All right. I have said this a couple of times and I'm gonna say it again. Right. I don't feel technical product management is a space that you should come into if you're not already a product manager. I feel it's a space that if you're just coming in, starting from there, especially if you're coming from another field for people that transit into product management, I don't feel technical product management is a place to start from. And it is not because it is difficult, but it's because it could be a little bit challenging if you don't have a couple of background knowledge. Having said that, I need to also put this that technical product management is not the place you get into and you're expected to write codes and all of that, right? So we'll just look at that in the next couple of minutes and, we'll see how we go from there. Okay, so I'm going to be sharing my screen. Just let me know when you see my screen. Not to worries, I'm not going to take your time today. Just let me know if you see my screen.
Yes, Mark, we can.
All right, great. So, now the basics of TPM and value specialized training for experienced product managers. All right, quick intro. For context, a technical product manager is responsible for bridging the gap between technical development and business. So, I don't think there's anybody here that is new to product management. If you are new to product management, if you ask me what is or who is a product manager, I'll tell you the guy that is responsible for whatever happens to a product, whether good or bad. The success, the failure, you're the guy they'll call to, right? So, like I tell people, a product manager is a god in his own right. Now, that is for that. Now, most of the product managers we have out there right now are mostly either generalist product manager, consumer product manager, enterprise product manager, and all of that, right? But what is the unique thing about them? You would have different books or different authors explain consumer product manager as the B2C guy, enterprise product manager as the B2B guy. At the end of the day, they are just general list product managers because, again, your core function, your focus is based on the user, which is amazing, which is what I assume that most people do in their day-to-day life, where you write user stories for um or you create tasks for different front-end approaches and all of those things. Great stuff. Now, you're talking about how it happened in the outside. So allow me use this definition, right? I'm trying to really get into deal of this. And please, for any reason, if you miss me, just let me know. Right. Now, getting into this, it means that yeah, you as the product manager, wherever you are, you're like the guy that is really focusing on interior decoration. When you build a house, let me use that analogy. You don't do interior decoration at the start of building a house. Are you guys with me? Sorry, can you guys hear me? Am I
Yes,
very
yes,
audible?
we can
Oh,
hear
okay,
you.
great. Okay, good. You don't start building the house from the interior decoration style. Point of view, you do the structural design and all of that, right? Now, basically, most of us work from the standpoint of the interior decoration, where we focus on the aesthetics, the CTAs, the the features, the menus, the marquees, the in-app tooltips, name it, right? The things that would really enhance UX. But now, I want to introduce you to the part where you start looking at what quantity of sand would we use in building this house? What type of sand? What type of iron would we be using? What type of pillar would hold this particular house? Before we get to the aesthetics. We're talking about the architecture, the back end, the guys that really make the UX a UX. I don't know. I think almost everybody here would have had that experience. Yeah, you call out to your developer that when you're pressing that button, it's not showing you, right? Like this button is supposed to take me to that next page, but you're pressing the button is not buttoning, right? So that is where I play. That is where I spend more time. Does it mean that it is more valuable than what the aesthetics is? No. You would agree with me that if the front end is not good, people will not trust the functionality of that thing. So to say, the way we say the social media is make believe and all of that. The same thing is applicable to if the front end is amazing, the UI, the product design is sweet with plenty of aesthetics, and the functions, the logic is not there. People will feel it's nonsense and people will not come back. So they work hand in hand. They are both very important. They are both must-haves for the people that like Moscow, right? They are both must-haves. They are both entities that should be. Now, the difference between myself and any other product manager for any company for the front-end view is I speak the business language, which is what a generalist PM would do, hear the pain point of the user, come up with a solution, right? And I also speak the technical language. What API are we going to use? Why is this endpoint returning no? What does this endpoint do? Then the questions will start coming. What is an endpoint? What is an API? Um, What is it returning? What is it consuming? You know, all of those things. Again, like I said at the beginning, the idea of being a technical product manager is not for you to write code, it's for you to speak the language. Actually, thinking about this session earlier today, something came to my mind. Yeah, I agree with me that. Okay, I put it somewhere in front, so maybe when we get there, I would I'll talk about that. So again, quick intro for context. A TPM, me as a technical product manager, is that guy that just act as the bridge between the business and the technical. So the business stakeholders, those are the guys that want to make the money. They're the ones putting in their money. They're the ones talking with the investors. They don't understand technical jargon, right? Now, they speak their English. They speak their own business jargon. I consume it. I take their business jargon, make it something worth saying to the developers. Go to developers, speak that English, more or less like act as an interpreter. If you know, when those days when we were using interpreters in computer, compilers, interpreters, C sharp, and all of that. Right now, act as the interpreter, which means I will speak what they said in a technical language to the technical guys. They will now see the possibility of having that thing come to life. Then we go into it. Basically, that is it. So I come back with a feedback from a technical point of view, which I'll be speaking to them from a business language, which means that I don't go to that meeting and I start saying, actually, you know, we have this API, right? And the API is calling to like multiple endpoints, but some of those endpoints are external. And when we are calling to those endpoints, it's returning null. At the end of the day, after returning multiple nulls, we realize that maybe there's a particular omission in the parameters that is being parsed and all of that. It's beginning to seem like rubbish, right? Yes, it is. Now, when I could easily tell them that the tool we are working with gave us a particular headache, we are presently working to fix it. Everybody is happy. You manage that stakeholder. You come back to these people and tell them, okay, instead of trying this endpoint, or instead of calling it using this route, I not try this route and all of that. Again, I speak their language. At the end of the day, you just want all of them to live happily ever after. So basically, that is who a technical product manager is in simple English. Now, in scary English, this is what you do as a technical product manager. I remember I used one of these in one of the classes, and don't mind my drawing, right? But I think you can play with the message in it. So now, this guy here is a TPM, right? So what does it do? It works on workflow automation, owning the product roadmap, championing and aligning user needs, user-centric design, market research, data-driven decision-making, stakeholder communication and negotiation, business and technical collaboration, manage product backlog and prioritize features, track product performance, and gather user feedback. Now, some of these look like what you do in your day-to-day. What is the difference? What is different about this? Now, how difficult has it been to get your developers to work with you, to give you what you want? How much have they bamboozled you with different terminologies now? Oh, this endpoint is taking 2 weeks or 3 weeks to populate or to propagate or to be consumed and all of that. And you're like, but does it take that long? You say, yeah. And they just want to bury you in a lot of things. Do we all have to deal with the developers? Yes. No matter what we deal with them. Are they a pain in the ass? Sometimes. But why are they a pain in the ass? Is why we are having this class. So I'm going to go, this is why we're having this session of class. So I'm going to go here, then come back here. That's okay. Now, I was saying earlier, I was thinking about it. You'd agree with me that product management is primarily communication. Telling Mark what to do, when to do it, how I want him to do it, then he does it, right? Now, it now begs some question. Is it possible for me to communicate in a language I do not understand? Am I able to speak to them? I don't know if you watch football, right? If anybody watch football here, oh no, not football. I think we have more ladies in the house, right? For people that watch Korean film, I don't, by the way, or Indian movies, especially when you are now unlucky to be watching one without a subtitle. You're following in your head. I should be able to understand what they're doing, right? But you're not hearing them, which makes it very difficult. At times, some things they might say, then you just try to look at it to the reactions, the gestures, and all of that. But you'd agree with me that most times you may not even get the proper message if there's no subtitle. That's the reason why if you start watching it at some point, you just want to look for some subtitles. And the same is applicable to if you're watching a Yoruba movie for those that don't speak it, or watching an Igbo movie for those that do not speak it. Now, communication. I tell people, right, I've seen product management play out in different spaces over the years, and I say this, right? Product management is 1% product management, then 99% people management, which means you want them to do something, you need to tell them clearly. I remember those days of project management to say something like, when you want your OKRs, right? OKRs are objective and key results. You have to use this SMART methodology, which means it has to be specific, measurable, achievable, right? Realistic, then has a time bound, which means it has to be clear. I remember there was a time when I write user stories, I write it like this. I say, I want to do this so that. Now, the I want to is the objective. The so that is the key result I'm looking to get out of it. You understand? It's just putting it in that place where anybody sees it. They understand that, oh, okay, this is what this person wants to do. They may probably not even know how to go about it, but they are very certain that they understand the ask. The communication is clear. It's really, really clear. I saw something sometime, I think it was a meme, right? And the guy posted and said, if I die, I want all the developers I worked with to lower me into the ground and all that. Then it's a dark humor meme, anyways. Then someone else said, at least that is a clear ask, or that is a clear task. Do you understand? Like it's so clear that this is what he wants and how he wants it. Again, which is coming from a point of if I start explaining what I've had to go through with developers or designers, as the case may be. Now, having said that, it's about communication. Now, technical product management is now more of clear technical and business communication. In my own workplace, I always have headache with the business team. Not because they don't speak it clearly, but most times we try to let them understand how to get it done. Like how what they are asking for would become a reality. I tell people that it is basically circled around one particular thing, which is when I want to build product, I have three things I'm thinking about, which is does it align with the business need, which is what you do. You get the customer pain points, you understand what they want. They want this feature, they want you to do this, they want you to even use this type of gateway, they want you to even, connect it to this again, a lot of things. Good one. Now, which is the customer need. Now, what we want to do as a solution, does it align with that need? Which means whatever we're coming up with as an answer, does it solve the request? And again, I tell people I don't come up with product ideas. I come up with user pain point solution ideas. I just want to solve user problem. I don't want to sit down and just come up with an idea now. Because your idea, your hunch, whatever it is, would never fly if there's no pain for it. You understand? Now, that is the first side of it, aligning with the user need. Now, if you align with the user need, okay, we've ticked one box. The second box will be, does it align with the business need, which is the guys that are talking with the investors, the guys that don't understand the technical jargon, right? Would this thing make money for us in the long run? I'll call you back. I'm in the session. I'll call you back. Can you hear me?
Yes, you can.
All right. So good. It's just they are the ones that they are probably under pressure with the investors and all of that. Right. So does it align with their pain, with the business need? Does it align with, would this help them make the 100 million benchmark they set for the year? Would this help them get there faster and all of that? Now, if you've ticked the user need, you've ticked the business need, then you tick the critical one, which is where technical PM comes into play. Does it align with the product need? Do you understand that the product as a framework is working in now? So you guys, most of the time you write development framework, how it wants to work, do you know how what the features will be, all of those features. Like I want feature A, feature B, feature C, D, Z, right? I just want it to be arranged like this. I want this one to come, then you start prioritizing, right? I say, I want this feature to come first. Right. So designer, you call your designer, let's say his name is John. Like, I want us to do this screen first. So let's have that screen on Figma, we'll do the presentation, and sweet. Really sweet. In my own word, the only thing we are looking for is where's the solutions architect? Please give us the architecture for the entirety of this product. Instead of picking it in features and phases, we are building the feature holistically from the backend, which means we have an architecture. So whatever the new need is, we go back to the architecture and say, does it fit in? Are we able to do this? Now what are we checking? We're checking our infrastructure. We're checking our server. We're checking the tables, the database. We're checking different entities. Does it fit in? Does it align with what we have? Can we accommodate it? Now, if we can accommodate it, I'll be like, okay, let me see the business case we can build. Right. We now start developing stories and all of that. But again, like I said, clear technical and business communication, which means I have ticked the three needs: the business, the user, and the product. Right? Which now means that I can easily now go back to my business and say, this can fly. Let's look at it. Let's have an alignment. Let's have a handshake, and we do this. Do you understand? Now, that is where the whole beauty comes in. Does it mean that I now stop interfacing with the aesthetics, the fine face, the color management, the feature, the buttons, the CTAs, no, I do not. I still get to do them here and there, but I do more of the APIs and the endpoint more. Making sure that you have something that will make all of your fine boy be a fine boy. Do you understand? Without the engine, a beautiful car will be only beautiful at a spot. But when the engine is right, you can easily now say, okay, yeah, that car is as beautiful and as powerful as it is. So I think that is where the TPM side comes in. Now let's now go back to these guys. I think generally we focus on this when we're working. We do this, right? As a generalist product manager, aligning user need, we do all of this, right? We do this three. We do stakeholder communication and negotiation. Yeah, depends. We do market research and analysis. I think so. We do data-driven decision making. We track product performance and gather user feedback. We manage product backlog and prioritize features. Here now comes the beauty of it, which means that I am not just prioritizing the backlog or the product feature from a front end point of view. I'm doing it from both end, which means it's front end, it's back end. I am making sure that we are very aligned. I'm making sure that we have an entity that can be used and that would work, right? I'm making sure that whatever it is I'm putting out, it is conforming to everything I've seen the product to be, right? It's not just from a point of, I do not know how the developer goes about it. My own is just that, see this button, it has to be here and it has to work from there. Now, it goes beyond that for you. Now, it now means that the whole of this understanding help you to rework the roadmap, help you to own it differently, help you to shape how the entirety of the product would go. Do you understand that? Come to the business and technical collaboration, which means it is not just technical. It is not just, I have to come and sit to the technical guy. So, John, who is your developer, you're just sitting with him and say, hey, John, how are you? Have you done this? Now it goes beyond that. It now goes out to say, I need to hear it from the business side. Would we make money? If yes, okay, John, this would fetch us this, so we can do this. Based on this data we have, let's go this route. You understand me? It is now making more sense. So much that when you are now looking into the UX research and you're getting user feedback on the items in the features, you're able to look at, okay, why is this city taking 15 to 20 seconds to load? What is causing the lag? Now, most times we don't see it, we just want it to load. And when the customer comes, they'll be like, okay, just you'll be like, oh, is it? It's I don't think it's a problem. I think it's working. But deep down, there is a problem. You know, I think it was yesterday I was having an engagement with someone in my business team. Right. Yeah. We're talking about webhook notifications and all of that. So there are some merchants that have issues with their webhook. It's not delivering, it's delivering in less than it's taking up to a minute to 2 minutes to deliver. Now to other people, it might be like, "Hey, you should get the notification and all of that, right?" But it is supposed to be immediate. So when he said his pain point, I was like, okay, I would try and look into it again. However, I think we should test internally. Let me ascertain what time it even hits our system before the webhook is being pushed out, before it's being received and it's being returned to our table to say it has been successfully sent and all of that. So again, it may not look like a thing to other guys out there, but these are the entities that make this thing really work. This is the guy that makes it tick, right? So it is more or less saying you stay in that place where you get user feedback, but it's not feedback on the aesthetics like, oh, this button is here. If they tell you this button is being clicked and it tells you it's just rolling and for a while it's not coming. So I'm not calling to my developer and be like, why is it just rolling and it's just saying, okay, I think we need to know what page is even returned. What is it supposed to return for that CTA and all of that? If they say it's supposed to return these, okay, let's try and ping it. Let us test it. How long is it taking? Is it calling an external API? Is it calling an internal API? Is it something on our own end? Is it our infrastructure? Is it the infrastructure of the entity we are calling into? Should we try alternatives? Should we call up to other bodies and all of that? Do you understand? So it's just saying all of those jargon in a technical side. But again, mind you, I'm not coming back to the business guy that I have a meeting with yesterday and I'm saying this technical jargon. The truth is you want to communicate, and right, one thing they teach you in communication is two ways, right? So you have the sender and you have the receiver, which means the sender must send the message clearly for the receiver to receive the message clearly. So the communication would be defeated if you're sending it and it is not received properly, or if you're sending it and there is no clear receiving on the other end. So it's just all of that. So it's not about trying to understand the technical jargon. It's not even about speaking that technical jargon. It's about, are you able to make use of that technical jargon to give you what you want? Which is, and what do you want ultimately? You want product success, right? You want a product that is built to work and it works. So yes, it's a space or it's an ecosystem where you wear multiple hats, right? You wear the hat of having to still do the workflow automation, right? You want to know the workflow. Okay, you want to look at it. Okay, it's okay. You want to draw out a roadmap. Okay, you want to use the same tools you use. Okay, the difference at times in okay, what I'm writing in my user story might be a little bit different from what I'm writing if I'm having an aesthetics user story. And story that I'm using aesthetics, this is not to condescend on the front end. I still do it, right? It's just more or less saying it is the part where we speak with the user experience. The other part, which is the part of the backend, is where we speak with the logic, right? Which is more or less like looking at a fine face, then the soul that makes the fine face a fine face. Do you understand? At the end of the day, all of them together make a whole unit, which is a body, a product, right? You cannot take one outside one, or you cannot take one off for another. No, you don't pick sides here. At the end of the day, it comes to do with preference. Okay, I want to be in this space because I like this. right? I want to be in this space because I like this. Now, I've seen people ask plenty questions like, so do I have to write codes? Do I have to? No, you do not need to write code. You just need to understand what is being written. How do I understand what is being written? Sorry, please, guys. Hello? Please let me call you back. I'm in a session. Please let me call you back. Let me call you back. I'll call you back. All right. Apologies for that, please. All right. So it's all about am I able to feel I think I lost my thought. Right. Am I able to do this, the whole workflow automation without having to consider other things? No, 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 no. Workflow automation is still the same thing you do. You know, when you have to use the fig jam, you have to start drawing, mapping out user journey and all of that, which is amazing. It dictates the way what's the name called? The way the entirety or the shape of the product will be. Mind you, let me just put this out there also. Whatever you write for the user experience also has impact on the way the backend structure would be built. So it's not just about let's have a structure, it's about okay, this structure we are having, what is it holding? This pillar, if you're using one pillar, let's go back to building a house, for instance. You're using a pillar, what is the pillar carrying? So you don't just say, oh, you know, let me write it. There will be a pillar there. What type of pillar? What is the size? Right? What is the unit or the cubic unit of that pillar? What is it carrying? How much um, force or how much weight do you want to place on that particular pillar? Those are the entities. So yes, workflow automation still come into play. Owning the product roadmap is still the thing because whatever it is you're writing, you need to own it, right? You need to be able to tell them, okay, this is where we are at. Because mind you, if you're here at any point in time, you would be called to come and be here, or you'll be called to come and stay here. You would want to tell the stakeholders this is where we are at. But you're not going to come to that meeting and start telling them the technical jargon. It's not going to fly. They're not going to bite, right? So that is where the beauty of this side of the thing comes into play, where you are not saying, now we are waiting on the developer. He said we should give him 3 weeks. He's going to be done with whatever he's doing. Then we can now test. So whatever the developer is doing, you should be able to talk to it, or you should be able to talk about it. You should be able to say, okay, I know what this developer is saying, and I understand this and all of that. So you understand doing market research and market analysis, which is what we do before which is what we do to ascertain that this pain point is actually a pain point. I was saying it in a session earlier today, and I said, have you ever thought of it? Why did Instagram not build the Instagram for the iPad version, right? The Instagram app for iPad. In 2021, the CEO of Instagram said they do not have enough requests to allow them channel resources into that, which is valid. And to anybody, it's good. I'm telling you, the numbers they will have is well over 10 million, but they don't see it as a market fit entity already, so they are not going into it. And do they regret it? I don't think so, because people will still use Instagram from uh, the browser, right? I will still ask them something. For the guys in Lagos, a lot of you might probably have used Lagride, right? I know Lagride has the carpool inside, right? I've never used it, so I cannot confirm it. So in case I'm not correct, apologies. But I know they introduced carpooling, especially when the whole subsidy thing came up. Then the question is, Bolt is also a hailing app, right? Why did Bolt not do the card, right? The carpooling side. Why did they not introduce the carpooling side of things and all that? So, it is all of those things that come into play. You understand? You want to ascertain that it meets those 3 needs that we talked about earlier. And if it does meet it, why not? We can go ahead. Then you still have to manage your product backlog and prioritize feature, which is very true, right? You still want to look at, okay, if we ship this based on what we have, we can go to this point. Recently, I was having to talk about product scaling, right? And someone was asking, oh, yo, what is product scaling? Da da da. And at the end of the day, I was telling the person that the idea of product scaling is optimizing whatever you have. So let's say when you were building, you guys are using a shared server, but before you know it, boom, you guys blew. Your product has over 100,000 active users, maybe daily active users, and all that. So you want to you don't want to congest the server, you want to decongest, you want to put it in a big place. So you start looking at Azure or AWS and or any cloud server of choice or a VPS server. So to say, it depends on budget and all of that. Again, you want to be able to look at all of these, what plays into us moving these guys to this place, right? So you now start saying, okay, we have some features we did not introduce, then we can bring it on now. Oh, we've set a benchmark to say in the next quarter, maybe quarter 3 or quarter 4, we're going to start working on these and all of that. And another thing that happens here is you make data-driven decisions. So you don't just, like I mentioned earlier, it's not your hunch. It's not I dreamt about it. It's not, oh, I think this would work. You might think it will work, but the market will not think it will work. I'm not going to mention the names of products that they thought will work but did not work. But you and I know some products that you thought will work that did not work, or that the PR made you feel it will work but did not work. If the product does not solve a pain, if it does not meet a need, no matter how beautifully placed it is, no matter how well it is marketed, it will fail. Now, this is your life as a product manager, as a technical product manager. So it depends on your ecosystem, right? I use an ecosystem from which I work to play this out, but then this makes perfect sense. So I would quickly run you through it. Again, indulge my drawing. So this is the technical product manager. This is business executive management. This is the part. Now, the TPM ideally assign a task to their POs, right? So you could have different POs you work with and all of that, and you could be the one to execute the task yourself, right? These guys take this task to a developer, and after clearly aligning with the developer, they bring a report back to you. But in most cases, you are the one that take your task to your developer, and developer gives you the report. You follow up with them. You write the user story. You do everything that you're supposed to do. You bring the stakeholders together. You align. You call for session. You do follow up. Now, the moment development is done, right? You want to communicate with your Scrum Master. Now, why are you communicating with your Scrum Master? You want your Scrum Master to drive the project to completion. You have built the product with your developers. Your Scrum Master would help you drive the project to completion. Now, in this case, the Scrum Master most times will give the report of the project. Now, not giving the report of the fix or whatever it is as a product. Now, to you were handling a product. So the Scrum Master is going to talk to it as a project. By the way, the Scrum Master is a technical project manager, right? So now, he would give the report on these projects to the management, to the executive board. Now, in the case where you don't have this guy still wears the hat of giving the report, which means, let's say in the case where you have processes for closing it out. Now, what are your processes? Processes that include QA, UAT, different approvals and concurrence to deploy, No. Now, most times, you as a TPM will still wear the hat of a QA engineer and all that. And I've said this to people that are here to listen most times, which is you are a product manager, whether as a TPM or as a generalist PM, you are not a QA. People think QAing is about looking at the code and looking at it, let the developer press it and it works. Right? If it tells you it works, you're good. Now, it goes beyond that. There's what we call the scripting. There's what we call the negative test scenarios. There's what we call actualizing this main scenario, looking for loopholes in the scenarios and all of that. Do you understand? Negative test cases and all of that. So they script based on, I remember one time we had an argument about who really uses the user story. A lot of people say, oh, it's the developer. The user story is for the developer because they use it, which is great. Now, you'd agree with me that most times you would align with your developer before they build, right? Now, if you align with your developer before they build, which means that they already know what you want to build. So why write a user story for them and still put acceptance criteria? Now, who is validating the acceptance criteria? What a developer would do at the end of writing your code, a typical thing is to do unit testing and give you a unit test report to say, when I wrote this code, I tested it on my engine and it worked, right? But the QA engineer, on the other hand, would use the acceptance criteria as you wrote in your user story to script the test cases and the test scenarios. So he or she is testing from a point of, this is what they are expecting this particular build to do. So if it does this, okay, what if I try something else? Would it still do this? For instance, I want to put a particular field is to take 10 digits. Okay, if I put 10 digits, it takes it. What if I put 4? What happens? What is it returning? Does it still take it? Do you understand? That is those negative test scenarios. Apologies, please. So those are the things your QA guy wants to look at. But at times you wear the hat and do all of that, then bring the report. So now there's a back and forth here. Look at this arrow. It is from you, a TPM, to business, to the business rather than the executive management to the board. It depends on whatever ecosystem you work in. And most times, see them, it is coming back from executive management, or it is still coming back to you, which means they will give you their feedback. Just like I mentioned earlier, they have their own business jargon. The developers have their own technical jargon. There has to be a proper marriage, right? When the proper marriage happens, which means you're able to speak to all of these guys clearly. Now there's the support guy. Again, in some ecosystems, you don't even have application support. You don't even have, which is not bad. A lot of people focus on customer success, so they don't really look into support, which could be a thing at the end of the day. Again, it depends on, again, where you work, the ecosystem, and the company, the structure, the whatever approach they want to go into building the product. But you agree with me that product is not done when you can't give support to users, because you earlier said you want their feedback, right? You said you gather user feedback, you work with feedback, you have a feedback policy that is used to drive your own action point and all of that, right? So here, the support guys are saying they are sitting with the users to say, okay, this is what we just did. And the user is coming and saying, no, I have an issue with this. This is taking me forever to get this. This is not working and all da. Then someone is there to say, okay, I understand what your pain is. This guy, on the other hand, may not be able to solve that problem accurately at that time. He brings it back to you and say, product manager, we have this problem. Which means that problem the guy is bringing is to say, I will look into it. Then you start investigating, you start looking into it. You start trying to see if whatever it is that is being raised as a concern or an ask is something that you can solve. If it's something that can be solved, if it's an internal thing, if it's specific to you or to the user, then to the merchant now, it's not just coming from your own point of view, it's coming from the user, it's specific to them. You want to engage their own technical team to say, with your own technical team, which is the developers, and not say, this is how you would go about this, and this is what we should do. Because you want to have that proper marriage. I think one mistake is we should take this guy from here and put it at the middle of it, because this guy is at the center of it all. He's seen everything happen. Nothing is passing behind him, because this guy wants to come back. Maybe someone from one of the merchants or one of the customers knows someone on this board and is calling you to say, I've been trying to use this product for the last 3 weeks, nothing is happening. It might be that the time you tried last, or this last time you tried. This guy is not speaking English. He's just coming back to tell you, you don't know your work, you're not doing what we want, you're not allowing us to make money, You want to absorb that before you come back to the developers or to the different guys you have in your technical team to say, what are we missing? What is going on? Why is this not closed out? Why do we have a gap here? Is there proper communication with their own support? Are we aligned? Are we in sync? Are we saying the same language? Do you understand? So it is basically more of clear business and technical communication. Like I mentioned again, when you want to communicate, it means you have to understand the language that is being spoken, right? Which means you have to understand some technical terms, you have to understand the meaning of some things, you have to know how to do some things, you have to know how to use some tools, you have to know how to or have some communication in some manners and all. So basically, that is the beauty. So why do I need to train to become a DPDM? I've mentioned a lot of this, so I'm just going to scan through this, which is deep technical knowledge, market research and analysis, user-centric design, communication and negotiation, data-driven decision making. It means when you learn to become a technical product management and manager, rather, you start having better understanding of some technical aspect of product development that now allows you to make more informed decisions, communicate effectively with your engineering team, and identify potential challenges, which is when you start looking at, does it align with the product need? Do you understand? Now, when you train to do this, it gives you more edge in terms of how you look at the market and how you analyze it, right? So how do you analyze the data you get from the market? How do you identify emerging trends? How do you fit into the market? How do you stay in the market? How do you identify emerging technologies? How do you use this to now inform your product strategy? How do you use it to make you become a better, to make you have a better product against your competitor? How do you stay in line with them? How do you not get left behind, right? Another thing is specialized training emphasizes user-centric design principles, which means you are not, again, I'm emphasizing it. There is no product without a user. So it is not about you, it's not about your own, it's about your product. And your product is about your user. So it's about who wants to use it. How do I develop products that are truly valuable and solve user problems? Again, you agree with me that you have some products, you've seen some products, you've used some products that really did not solve your problem. And this is not talking about the time to value, the customer lifetime value, that are data metrics that we look at, right? It's about, does it solve my problem? The reason why I want to use this product, is it met at the time I'm using it? Communication and negotiation, effective communication and negotiation skills is crucial to collaborate with various stakeholders, advocate for product vision and manage expectations. So when you now want to talk with the business stakeholders, you're talking to them from a point of, this is what we have, this is what we can do, this is what I know that is achievable. You are now selling it to them. Now you are wearing the heart of a politician there. You are diplomatically selling that point to them, such that you don't raise their hope too high, you don't let them over expect, then you under deliver, right? So you are able to manage both parties. Why? You're not saying it from a point of inadequate knowledge. You're saying it from a point of, I know what it takes. I know what we are waiting to have. I know what we have at the moment. I know what our capacity can carry, which would inform what we can give. The truth is, you cannot give what you don't have. Even the computer, those days when we started learning it, they said, what you give is what you get, right? So it is just that entity that is playing into this. So you're able to manage their expectations. So someone is not waking up and say, I know that in the next 3 working days, we should have this feature completed. This is a feature that is even consuming an external API that you've not even started engaging the external party. So you've not signed SLAs, you've not signed NDAs, you've not done addendum, you've not done anything with that third party. But the stakeholders are expecting it to happen in 3 days, forgetting that it is not dependent on you. So you are able to manage those expectations to tell them, no, you need to calm down on what you are expecting to see. Because at the end of the day, these are the dependencies, right? You are able to look at, okay, this product we want to build, what are the dependencies we have? Is it compliance worthy? Does it meet compliance? You're able to look at all of those and now start talking to them from that point. So when your CEO or whoever is in your board has an idea of, oh, this is how the product should be, I think I've seen my friend does something like this in this company, we should be able to do this. I look at them from, okay, do we have a bunch of friends? This is what we have. This is what we can give. Over time, if we expand our horizon or our tentacles, we can do this. But for now, this is what we can afford. And I'm not talking about money now. Then data-driven decision making. So in this training, we reiterate the importance of data analysis and product development. When people come to me with business ideas, or product ideas rather, I do not. I always have an open mind to a new product idea. Why? You're coming to me from an enthusiastic point of view, which means it is already interesting to you before you bring it to me to help you build it, right? Which means you would only be telling me the good things about it. Oh, this thing will do this, it will do this, it will change this, it will change that. Oh, sweet, amazing. So at that point, I'm not helping you to even think of what are the other things we can do to make it better. No, I'm looking at what are the things that will make it not work. Because when I can solve all your why, I wouldn't have a what problem. So I use the 5 why principle. Why do we want to do this? Why do we want to do this? Why do we want to do this? Why do we want to take this off? Why do we want to use this entity? Why do we want to use this tool? Why do we want to write in this stack? Because if I'm able to understand all of those, we can build a product. So I'm not trying to increase your ego by telling you, oh, this is doable, this is sweet, this will work, this is that, this is not. No, I am telling you from a point of what you have is sweet. These are the things that will make it not work. Finally, technical product management is a critical role in today's technology-driven world. Specialized training empowers individuals with the skills and knowledge to excel as an almost all-round product manager, leading to develop successful products that deliver value to both the businesses and the users. Now, I know you want to ask me, what do I mean by almost all-round product manager? This is what I mean. I don't feel, yeah, being a generalist PM and being a technical PM, then including with becoming a platform PM, still does not make you an all-round product manager. For me, I feel the moment you're able to now do product marketing or be a product marketing manager, you can be termed as an all-round product manager, which means you are very well adept in the business side, you are very well adept in the user side, you're very well adept in the customer side, and you are very well adept in making sales for that product. Because at the end of the day, again, the primary goal for everything we are doing is to make sales, right? Recently, I found myself trying to take some courses on product marketing management, and I can tell you for free, it's a different ball game than what you've seen before. So having said that, I think I've been able to convince and not confuse you that TPM is a space that should be gotten or should be entered by already experienced product managers, people that have already done the work for a couple of days, right? And not necessarily someone that is just looking to transit. But if someone that is just looking to transit has the drive, the will, the energy, the commitment, the need to be in it, why not if not? So thank you. That's my time.
Oh wow, Mark has done it again as usual. Thank you so much, Mark, for taking your time to give clarity on the basics of technical product management. Like for a lot of people, right, there has always been this inquisitive part of them that wanted to have an understanding of what is really technical about product management and why should they want to go a bit higher. And thank you for doing a very good justice to that. I'll just want to pick out some things that Mark talked about. Mark talked about the fact that technical product management is more of clear technical and business communication. And so when we say product management is technical, it is to just make a clear, more of a clear business communication. And we also talked about some of the reasons why you should consider to be a technical product manager. One of which is that you'll be able to understand technical aspects of product development. I mean, if there is one thing that is key, which is like my guiding principle in life, is that
Sorry a lot, Tosin. I have my hands raised since I decided to raise
oh
it in person.
sorry.
Can I
Okay.
go? Can I go off camera now? And can I be on mute?
Yeah. Thank you, Mark. You can go camera. Okay, so he talked about the fact that technical product management also is you able to having the understanding of technical aspects of product management. And I was saying that there is one guiding principle that works for me in life is that you should not remain static. When you've learned something, then growth is key. Try and go higher, go harder, see how much more you can learn or do to become better in that field. And so, technical aspects of the products also helps you to have a better and well integrated knowledge of the product. Another thing he also said was, um, you are able to make more informed decisions and communicate effectively with your engineering team as a technical product manager. You because you have mastery of what is being talked about, you are able to effectively communicate. These among others are like major things that Mark has been able to do justice to tonight. And Mark, your hands are raised. Well,
No, no,
Mark, do you
no,
want to
no.
say
It's
something?
that. I know that. No, 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 no. It's all that. It's not reached.
Okay,
It's not
okay.
reached.
So I would just like to entertain a few questions from everyone on this call. If you want to ask Mark any question, you need clarity, can you raise your hand so that I'll just call you to speak? Any question, guys? I cannot see hands raised though. Anyone with question? Or you can just go ahead if you have a question, because I don't think I can see anyone's hands raised. Anyone? Are we saying there is no question? Are we saying that we have clarity now? Is that what it means? Or does anyone have any feedback? Maybe not a question, maybe you have a feedback. Maybe there's something that you want to say. I'll call names randomly. Olubenga, what's your take home from tonight's section? Olubenga. I'm waiting. Oh, I want to hear you guys speak. I want to hear Mojola. I think Mojola is here. Mojola, can you tell us your take home from tonight's session? Hi, Mojola.
Hello, good
Hi.
evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mark, for that insightful section. Well, there are still certain things that I learned from today's session, but I will just I liked what stood out for me, and which is when you try to make analogy about if you're an engineer, like I mean physical engineer, when you are into buildings, and you're trying to talk about a building where there are pillars, and he explaining the fact that you need to be specific about the type of pillar, the width, the size, what it's supposed to be made of, and that stood out for me in understanding that okay, even when I'm communicating about a software or a product with my developers, it's not about just saying okay, we want this feature, such that I can even talk about the details of the feature without even waiting for the developer to come up with an idea or how to go about it, which means I'm already championing what is needed to be built. So that's stood out for me. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you, Mojola. Thank you for sharing that. Let's hear from Tomilayo. Hi, Tomilayo. Would you like to share with us what your take home are for tonight, or what's your take home is from tonight's session?
Good evening. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I actually have a question. Where I am is a little bit noisy, but my
We can
question.
hear you. Don't worry. Just go ahead. We can hear you.
Okay, so Mark mentioned stakeholder communication and negotiation, right? So my question is, I'm not really into product management, but I was able to pinpoint some features that I gave But when it comes to shareholder communication and negotiation, there are actually some people that are very, very like they are not mind bending. And in I'm also a manager, but I'm not a product manager, right? But there are some of them that they are not mind bending. Like what they want is what they want. So if you're in a situation like that, how do you tend to handle that kind of person? How do you tend to handle that kind of project or that kind of thing? Do you understand? So that's my question.
Okay, Mark,
Uh,
over to you.
okay. Okay. For the guys that are not willing or they do not bend, this is what has worked for me over the years, and I'm going to say it this way, right? They will not bend because you want them to bend. They will bend because you're showing them the reason to bend. I don't know if I should take that again. It is one thing for you to want them to bend. It's another thing for you to make them see the reason why they have to bend. Hence the reason why um we talked about the data-driven decision making, which means you have something to back up what you want from them. For instance, someone wants you to work on a feature or do something, and all these in his head is this feature has to be there. No problem. You'd go, not at the point when they are telling you they want that feature, you're just telling them straight face, nah, it's not going to work. Even when you know it's not going to work, they are not going to buy it from you. And God help you if this is the person that employs you and you guys are not working through the HR, I will tell you, go, I employed you, I pay your salary. You're not going to tell me where and what can be done, right? But in the situation where they said they are no problem, you absorb it. You tell them you work on it, you will look into it, right? Upon you come back with a feedback, which is due to these reasons, we will not be able to go this route. However, because it's one thing for you to tell them it will not work. It's another thing for you to understand that while you tell them it will not work, you have to give them something else that would work or something else that they can work with. So that's the mistake some people or most people make. You're telling me it's not going to work, but you're not giving me something that would serve as a rub on my head. Something more or less like you're using hand to rub my head to say, okay, if I did not get my actual or my initial ask, I can work with this other ask. And that's the way it works. So when the person is not bending, you're not going to them with the mindset of I have to attack them and make them see my reason. You are going back with the mindset of I've heard you, but this is why this would not work. This is why I'm saying it will not work. So if we are not now going to go this route, these are the alternatives that I think we can work with that would work. So why put even me as a person, if you're giving me this would not work and you're not giving me alternatives, deep down I'm looking at you like, okay, you're telling me this will not work, but you're not telling me something else that will not work. I am not going to buy into the idea that nothing else is going to work. Right? So that is the way it works. So irrespective of the field, you need to be able to give them something else for if you're not able to make their initial ask. I hope I answered you properly. And for I think I saw some questions in the uh chat, right? Okay. Enova Lab has a technical product management course, right? A new cohort is starting this Saturday or started today for the introductions, and also for anybody that wants to do technical product management, what does it take? Do you have the experience of being a product manager? So I think that's just what it takes. So I think I'm able to answer those two questions together. Um,
Okay, yeah, thank you. So just like Mark just said, technical product management just started and you can still join the class if you want to. You can still join this course if you want to. Do we have any more questions? Anyone with any other questions? Okay, in the absence of none, for those that are not in the community, I am please check your chat box. I have just dropped the link to join the Innova Lab Product Managers community. So you can click on the link to join the community. You can also invite your colleagues to join. Thank you so much, Mark, for an impactful session tonight. Thank you for always coming around when we call on you. And thank you guys for also joining tonight's session. Have a pleasant night and a great weekend. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Yeah, good night.